What is up, guys? Welcome to Break Magazine's very first Q&A session. We put a post out on Facebook and Instagram a couple of weeks ago asking you for your questions, the things you wanted to know to do with adventure riding and lots of other things. So I got my mate Neil Hawker. We're sat in a hotel in Australia. It's kind of grey.
It is a bit grey. I was expecting different.
It's better than Wales. So we've sat down, we've pulled all your questions up, and we're going to go through them. So first question is from Alistair Lang on Facebook. He says, it's been touched on before, but can you give us any tips for riding for tall people? I find I lean on the bars too much if I stand up. It's okay on the 1200 GS, but not so good on other bikes. I generally say, and I'm sure Neil will agree with this, it's not so much an issue of you being tall, but an issue of you figuring out your standing position and getting that really, really dialed in. A couple of tips that help for me, being tall, I'm quite tall, about 6'2". One that's really good is to actually drop your heels down a little bit below the foot peg. It will help you keep your legs straight even though you're taller. It also helps you lose a little bit of that height, which will, I think, feel really, really comfortable. And then the next part is just losing a little bit of weight, a little bit of height, through your hips.
A little bit of weight.
I could do with that. Yeah, that also helps.
That probably helps my standing position too.
Yeah, so you lose a little bit of that height through the hips as well. It helps keep your center of gravity low. And then if you arch at the hips rather than the knees, you'll find that you will be able to hold a position where you're kind of bent over at those hips, and you don't actually need to put any weight on the handlebars. It's kind of, similar to like a bent over row position if you go to the gym. If you don't go to the gym, don't worry about it. But we'll put a link in the description to an article we did about standing position, which is a really good base start to work from. And otherwise, it's maybe worth just doing a little bit of video yourself so you can figure that out.
That's what I was going to say, a bit of slow-mo stuff.
Yeah, a little
Watch
just
yourself
even with
on
an
the
iPhone,
bike.
that can really help. Just get someone to video you riding in a straight line so you can have a look at that position, compare it to some pictures, like the pictures from that article, for example. That'll be a really good help. Okay, second question is from Paul Catchpole, again on Facebook. We've got a special Q&A group, which we'll also link to in the description below. So if you've got any questions you want to add for later on, you can join that group and ask anything, anytime, and we'll try and answer it either in words or in these videos. So Paul says, I'd like to learn how to corner faster while standing up. I'm fine sitting far forward on an enduro bike, but rubbish while standing up on that or the GS. Got no confidence that it will stay stuck on fast, loose, sweeping bends on gravel, or tight ones for that matter. I think generally the biggest mistake people have when they're trying to learn to corner fast stood up is kind of a twofold thing. The first part is getting your weight far enough forward. It can feel really I'm sure you'll agree with this. It can feel really disconcerting to put your body weight far enough forward.
It's surprising how far forward you actually have to be on the bike.
Yeah, for sure. Like your head position will be way beyond the front of the handlebars. And generally you want your body weight a little bit lower in the bike, so you'll kind of bend a little bit at the hips to keep your weight down. And the next part that is enormously important for me is your foot peg weighting. So once you've got that bike leaned over and you're trying to carry that speed through the corner, having your weight forward, but also putting a lot of pressure on the outside peg, you'll be amazed how much...
Through the bar as well.
Through the handlebar.
Through the foot peg.
Getting that weight driving through the outside, you'll feel it straight away, how much more confident you'll start to become. And the other thing is you have to give it a little bit of time. Trying to learn to go fast out of the box, especially on gravelly corners, it takes practice.
And whatever terrain you're on, it's always good to test and adjust that position really, and test how much weight you can put on. And it's actually real good fun when you do start getting the feeling for the amount of weight you need on the foot peg, because you can really, really over-exaggerate the weight and actually feel that it's doing good.
Yeah. So, one other little tip for learning to ride gravel, especially if you ride an enduro bike or something, is if you're riding quite a lot of it, is to make sure you've got tyres that work in that environment on your bike. Standard enduro tyres are great all round, but especially if you ride a lot of gravel, you're trying to learn to ride gravelly roads better. Getting a set of decent kind of intermediate or hard pack tyres on there will transform how much confidence you have, and they'll let you grow a little bit quicker than if you didn't have those on. Third question, Jason Marcos, again on Facebook. He says, I'd be really interested to hear and see opinions on carrying camera kit when off-road. Do you carry it on your person, on the bike? How much padding? Does the camera kit survive and vibrations and crashes, etc.? And at some point in the next couple of months, we will do a dedicated video on how we carry the camera kit we use and what we choose to use to make the footage, to make the films we make. But generally, I'm a really big fan of just riding with a camera backpack.
I'm out of this one.
I carry a camera backpack, which is a Dakine backpack. I've used it for years. I've had a few of them, a few different models. But they're really, really strong. They're well padded, and I just throw my cameras in them. Generally, we use quite high-end kit. It's normally Pro Series, Canon stuff, and it can take a beating, so that helps a lot. But also, you'll be surprised how much cameras can take. I've always wanted to try and ride one with a tank bag, but I haven't. And your body kind of takes most of the damping. Yeah, that's all. That's kind of all I've got to say on that really at the moment. But we'll come back with something more important. So Christopher Ellender, last question from Facebook, says, for someone who's only really ridden GSs off-road and wants to improve their skills, what's some good detailed steps for getting into trials riding, especially in an area where trials is non-existent? I think that's over to you. I've never worn Lycra on a motorbike in my life.
Yeah, believe it or not, I have worn a bit of Lycra before. It's a few years ago. But trials is like the most friendliest sport you can do off-road riding. It's the cheapest as well. I mean, you're not looked upon any different if you turn up on a pre-65 bike with a flat cap and some wellies and some overalls to ride in, to a brand new all singing or dancing trials bike and the latest kit. So it's just so, it's more social, and anybody can do it. It doesn't matter. Even you've done a little bit of trials before.
Done a little bit, yeah. It's
probably
pretty,
too fast. Yeah. People probably looked at him because he was going flat out and trying to hit jumps. But the whole thing about trials,
it was full of like rules and people wearing tight clothing.
It is a really accessible sport for everyone, and it doesn't cost a lot.
So what do you think that first step is, to just go and buy a trials bike?
To find your local trials club. Definitely, there'll be a local club near you, even in the middle of the outback. I'm sure Chris is from America. In the States, there's lots of little clubs, but you don't have to. If you are really out in the sticks, you can have a log in your back garden, and you'd be amazed what you can do. Playing around on a trials bike, you can spend hours just on a log, doing figure of eights, doing tight turns, practicing sort of preloads, wheelies, all that fun stuff. And once you've sort of get a trials bike and start playing on them, it is just playing around. And you wouldn't believe how many hours I've wasted as a kid just playing in a real small space with just a log or just something to jump on, a curb, whatever it is. So it is one of those sports you can just go and try, and it's cheap enough to try. It's without getting all the kit you need.
Yeah, totally. I think we've proved it a lot that you can.
Well, we
spent an hour just riding over.
We were waiting for probably a pavey, but we were waiting, and we had an hour in the car park, and got the trials bike out of the van, and there was 3 of us. We all got a sweat on within playing around, just doing skids, wheelies, jumping over curbs, jumping off of curbs, bunny hopping.
Just trying to do.
And we ride bikes all the time, but the amount of fun we had in that hour with one bike and 3 people, it was
great. Yeah,
good fun.
Okay, moving on. On Instagram, @SilverTreeEnduro asks, okay, if you could only have one bike to play on for green lanes, a little adventure riding, some trips, and maybe even some enduro riding, what would you choose? I think for me, this isn't actually that difficult of a question. It depends which country I was in, because living in the UK is a little bit of a curveball there because the weather's terrible and that makes the riding really difficult. But I would say generally for most riding, Husky 701.
For the UK.
It is an incredible bike. It's got enough engine that the street riding is still perfectly okay. I'd quite happily sit on an A road on it, or do a couple of 100 miles on it. The seat's a little bit hard, but all round, it's a really awesome bike. It's good enough to take hard places. It's got just enough legs to survive.
An enduro of some sorts.
Yeah,
you could do a practice day. You could do with.
Otherwise, something maybe you could do like an Adam Riemann and push a 500 EXC into that kind of category. He's had quite a lot of success and done some long trips, 10,000k on a 500 EXC. Again, what an awesome bike. KTM 500, Husky 500.
They're good bikes.
They're really incredible bikes. It'll be one of those two, but I probably lean towards the 701 just because it's ridiculously fun to ride. The engine is insane. We did an article on the 2017 update version a few months ago. We'll put a link in the description. Have a read. Let us know what you think. Next question is from Rena Henderson. The last question we're going to answer. It says, being sort of new to the world of riding and as the chick behind the rider till I get my own machine, are the female riders I've seen on here long-time riders, or are any of them new? It's a two-part question. The first part is, there is actually a surprisingly large amount of new riders. Some of the bigger people in adventure riding on Instagram have been doing it for quite a long time, but one of our own writers, Leora, she has been riding about 14 months, but she lives in Canada, so 6 months of those, it's covered in snow. She's written a few articles. We'll put a link to them below. But yeah, she's super new to riding and kind of covering those experiences. Then the second part says, and lastly, can you be a warm gear riding tester? Well, maybe we'll have that conversation one day. I get cold so easily and not properly outfitted. What are other females wearing to keep wind and chill down now that it's fall? Now,
is that Chris Northover's?
Is that
question? Oh, no. Yeah.
That's actually a really good question. So for me, there's kind of a few tips that you can totally go through to to help yourself when it's cold. The first one is get some form of electric heated base layer or jacket. I'm a really big fan of an Australian company called Evade. They make heated base layers. I use them all the time. I think the world of them, having that heated layer against your skin is a game changer. And then if it's really cold, the second layer I always put on is just like a gilet, a waistcoat thing, which is windproof. Again, cutting that wind out and then having that heated base layer underneath, super awesome. And just having good layers in general.
I like to eat quite a lot at the end of summer.
That's also
a lot of barbecues. Just get a little bit of puppy fat ready for the winter. It does me a treat.
Yeah.
But no, base layers is way forward, definitely.
Yeah, really, really good base layer. If you can make it heated, that's even better. There's a couple of companies that make other heated pieces of equipment. They make gloves and socks and trousers and so on. But for me, that one against your torso is totally key.
Heated grips.
Wow. If you're riding, heated grips are a total game changer. I would never buy a bike without them. Living in the UK, you couldn't ride through winter without heated grips. And
I'm excited about heated grips.
Yeah, they're really good.
Before sort of coming onto the adventure bikes, I've never ridden with heated grips. Wow, blew my mind. Still blows my mind. It's amazing.
You really like heated grips?
I love heated grips. Why wouldn't you?
No. I'm more excited about heated base layers because they work everywhere. Like I wear mine to work, I wear it to the gym, it smells awful. But, so those would be my tops. The last one is if you can afford it, they're normally a little bit expensive, but something like Gore-Tex Pro Shell, you quite often get them where they're windproof as well, and that's a game changer. If you can get yourself into a jacket and some trousers that are windproof for riding at that time of year, it will drop the temperature by 10 degrees of what you're comfortable to ride in. So there's also another good tip. And the last one, waterproof socks.
Oh,
super warm, keep your feet dry. That's a winner. Who doesn't want dry feet?
Just don't go over your boot.
Yeah,
over the sock. High ones, up to your knees.
Fully water-contained socks.
Beautiful it is.
Yeah.
I think there is one more question you missed out there.
Which one's that? I don't know that I want to ask it.
Will there ever be a man who can swim faster than the shark?
Well, yeah. Have you met Neil Hawker? He's got really smooth legs.
I've been in training, and at the moment I'm not quite shark speed, but I'm getting there. So
yeah, maybe dolphin.
Let's see where it goes. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for this week. We've run out of questions. We are going to do another video in about a month's time. So if you've got any questions, we've got a group on Facebook called the Q&A group. Chuck a comment in there. You can join it. Anyone's welcome to join. Same, send us a message on Instagram, direct message, or tag us on Twitter. Just hashtag Break Magazine on any of those. We'll see it. And we'll answer your questions. Otherwise, subscribe, comment. You can throw questions down in the comments. Give us a like on this video. And Neil might send you a nice present.
Maybe.
This is getting awkward now.
See where the budget is for Break Magazine, shall we?
Yeah, about that. Packet of Pringles.
That's it, I'm out.